All right. Yes. What are the best practices for validating a novel GPCR target before investing big resources? Yeah. Okay. Well, eh, kind of interesting. The idea of big resources. At the very least, you're going to build a few assays and put it in a few rats and mice and so forth, and then but um, there are well worked out procedures now for validation because um, about 20 years ago, the big hurdles were choosing a target and then finding a molecule for it. That second hurdle's gone now with all the screening and virtual screening and structure and everything. That hurdle's gone. But this validation thing is still there. If you choose, it'll take you probably minimally a year and a half, 2 years to know whether a target's really worthwhile. If you make the wrong choice 5 times, you've wasted 10 years. That could be it. So you really need to be careful with the targets you choose. So obviously, uh, and I'll use the example because it's a cheat. This one's easy. When we were thinking about getting an HIV inhibitor, the concept that was put out there was CCR5, a chemokine receptor, mediated the interaction of the viral coat protein GP120 and the receptor to cause infection. So we need to stop this interaction, inhibit the CCR5 receptor. What were the criteria? Well, it was known that you couldn't infect a cell with HIV unless CCR5 was there. Good start. Presence. Number two, molecules that interact with the target, chemokines, cause changes in the disease process. It's known that people with a healthier chemokine system develop AIDS after infection a longer period from those that do not. So having chemokines there change the course of the disease. If there are people who overexpress this receptor and people who don't express much of it, when you get HIV infection, the period between that and when you get AIDS is variable. In some people, it's months. In others, it's years. And that was correlated with the people where it was months greatly overexpressed the receptor. So now you're correlating presence again with the disease. Of course, you must cause no harm. So knockouts of CCR5, the animals were otherwise healthy. That one, what happens with knockouts and validation, though, it's complex. It's different from if a person has a target from birth and then in adult life you knock it out. That's different from never ever having it from birth sometimes. And so you'll do a knockout and you'll make a prediction that doesn't pan out in humans. In the case of CCR5, it looked pretty good. People, the only thing it seemed to be there for was to get AIDS, so you could take it out and you were fine. Well, unless you were wanting to get a transplant, because people who needed organ transplants and had a poor CCR5 response had a harder time. So but it wasn't lethal. But the one that, when I say cheat, you don't often get this. There are some people on Earth, and at the time it was in Northern Europe and in Brazil, who could not get HIV infection. And the sad story was they tried. They actually exposed themselves to HIV. Their partners got it, passed away, and they were suicidal. They wanted to follow them, and they couldn't get it. And so when they studied these people, they found they had a 32 amino acid cassette missing from the receptor that prevented it from being expressed. And so that was a that sealed it. That said, if you don't have this receptor, you're not going to get AIDS. So that's an example. You want to do at least every other thing. You may not have that last step, but you need to show all of that, and then even then, you're always asking, did we make it the right choice? But it's a good start.
I always loved chemokines, and I think the Delta 32
Yeah.
mutation. It's just such an elegant,
Yeah.
elegant story.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry.